find is that our message remains stay home and stay local. So we are allowing people in Wales to leave home more than once a day for exercise, but we're definitely not saying to people you can jump in your car and travel a long distance for that exercise. You should stay local. You should think about whether you really need to leave home, because the more contact we have with other people, the faster the virus will spread. And if you were going back to work in Wales, then in the law in Wales, we have put the 2 metre social distancing rule, and we've had that now for a number of weeks. So I hope that you would find that your workplace has already taken all the reasonable measures it needs to take to make sure that you are safe and will be looked after in the process of going back to work, which by itself is a good thing to do, provided you're confident and safe that you'll be properly looked after.
And what about schools?
Well, our schools are open for children of key workers and vulnerable children, and we've seen a rise in the number of children coming to school in Wales since the Easter holiday period, but we don't plan to reopen our schools for other cohorts of children at the start of June. We are hopeful that we will be able to allow some children to return before the end of the summer term, but we want to do that in a way that gives our teachers confidence that everything is in place, and parents are confident, because I think you can open schools as much as you like. If parents aren't confident that their children will be safe when they get there, they simply won't turn up to do that. So we are using these 3 weeks to work with our teaching unions, our local authorities, and talking with parents to make sure that we are able to allow some children, beyond those who are already there, to come back before the holidays. Everybody will know that that's been properly organised and the well-being of children and teachers has been thought through.
So clarity being paramount. I think the next, I'm going to caution myself here more than you, I think, Mark Drakeford, when I say let's not make any political point scoring here. But how much of a difficulty is presented to your policies by the fact that we are pursuing different policies just on, well, a few hundred yards away in some cases?
Well,
you must. I mean, schools. Obviously, you'll have people crossing the border, won't you, to take the children to and from school every day?
We will do. Let me make one positive point first,
yes,
which is that I am still keen that we have a 4-nation UK fundamental approach to how we come out of coronavirus, that we do it in a careful, cautious way, always with our eye on the impact on public health. And I still think that is really important to try our very best to achieve that. We are used in Wales to there being differences along the border. Our school holidays are different to ones in England, and parents are so used to having to navigate that. What would help a lot, though, is if our UK colleagues could just be clearer with people when they are speaking on behalf of the whole of the United Kingdom, as the Prime Minister was when he was talking about quarantine at the border, for example, and when he would be talking simply about arrangements in England. So we do have a real problem. The message in England that you can jump in your car and travel wherever you like is a real problem for us, because we do not want to see queues of people trying to climb up Snowdon or heading to beaches in Wales. You're not allowed to do that in Wales. What would happen to me if I put the kids in the car and drove to Abu Dhabi this weekend? What would happen to me? Well, you'd be stopped by the police, and the approach our police will take would be one of explanation and education. So we'd start from the point of view that you may well simply not have realised, because you would have had all your news from English sources, that the rules in Wales were different. And the news from our police is that those conversations are almost always positive. People, once they understand the rules, they simply, get back in their car and go back to their homes. In the end, if people aren't reasonable, not willing to take the advice the police would give them, then our police have enforcement powers and will use them. But that's not where we start from. We start from explanation and education, and by and large that works. It's come to something when it's reassuring to think that people are confused by the messages that they're receiving from government, as opposed to being willfully disobedient of them. I mean, it's not necessarily a good thing, but I suppose confusion is better than willful disobedience. Yes. How
let me phrase this correctly. How much influence do you feel that you, as the First Minister of Wales, or your equivalent in Scotland, how much influence are you having? How valued do you feel your input is to the UK-wide policy pronouncement?
Well, the way I've been putting it is that when we have engagement with the UK government, then I think generally that is good, and I think generally we get a hearing and we are able to share information and find a way forward together. The problem is that engagement has not been regular or reliable enough. So, over the last 3 weeks of regulations, we had no contact of that sort for 2 weeks, and then in the final week we suddenly get more conversation. So what I would like to see is a regular, reliable rhythm to our engagement with the UK government, because I think the more we talk, the more we share, the more we understand one another, the better the chance becomes that we can sustain a UK-wide approach.